On this episode of Super Week in Smart Homes, we're going to talk about smart communities, Google Home, and Sony TVs. Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, as you heard, right, we're going to talk about smart communities, Google Home, and what Sony's doing with their televisions. So first we'll start with the smart communities. I think that's probably the hottest topic, and I believe the story came out today. Bill Gates recently bought, I think it was 25,000 acres out in Arizona to build a smart community. There's been a lot of talk about smart communities over the years and how it's going to really change the way we live, change the way we use energy, and all of that. But it's really exciting to see actually somebody taking that leap into doing it. Bill Gates, everybody knows him. He's got a ton of money, so being able to do this, and he has partners in this. I forgot who the names were on that list, but it's going to be really interesting what they're doing. It has a lot more to do than just smart homes, right? Because it's the entire community that they're going to be making smart, right? Thinking about like automated cars, thinking about the lighting system, thinking about how they're using the water within the community, thinking about how they're using electricity, solar, and all that kind of stuff. But the reason I found it interesting is because I think it speaks a lot to what we're pitching from a one-off house perspective, right? I'm not building a smart community because I'm no Bill Gates, but what I am talking about here at Digital Home is how you can make your home something that would kind of fit into one of these smart communities, right? Being a leader in that space. And the awesome thing is you're not really leading in a place that we don't see that the future is going, right? We've reached a point with smart home technology that it's obvious, and now people are actually just really putting the money. If you have the money in it, it seems like most people are starting to really make some of those bets. You see that with like Lennar is doing it within their homes. There's these smart hotels that Samsung's doing with Marriott. But something that we're also doing here at Digital Home and rolling it out to local builders and saying, look at what Lennar's doing. I know you understand you're no Lennar, right? You're not the second biggest builder in the country, but partnering with somebody in the way that Samsung is partnering with Marriott, is there a way that you can compete in that space? And we say yes, right? We're doing a smart home ready program with builders in the area, and I'm really looking forward to how that pans out, because I think it's obvious to people who are paying attention that to not do it is to essentially get eaten up by the big dogs. And if you want to compete or become one of those big dogs in the future, I think that's really the way to do it. The next thing I want to talk about is, and I got to work on my transitions. I think that transition could have been a lot better, but whatever, right? Next thing I want to talk about was Google Home. So we talk about Amazon Alexa. I've talked about Amazon Alexa a ton on this podcast or show because first off, I'm an Amazon Alexa user. I have one in my bedroom. I've messed around with the Google Home, but from my perspective, is not where the Alexa is, and that's to no fault of Google necessarily yet, right? Because they came later. I mean, Amazon had that first mover advantage, and because of that, they have a lot more integrations than the Google Home does. But in this past week, they've done a lot of things that are starting to change that, right? Starting to help them catch up, and they're going to have to do a lot more. But it was exciting to see. So number one, they announced something called Broadcast. And essentially, what it is, it's like an intercom system between Google Home devices. So let's say you're in your kitchen, you just finished cooking, and you want to call the kids down to come eat. Instead of having to yell and say, Tommy, whatever, blah, 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 come down to eat, you just go Google Home and say, Google tell, well, I think it's okay Google, tell Tommy and the rest of the kids that food is ready. And then Google will pop onto theirs and say, food, come down, food's ready, right? So that's something. I mean, Alexa's been doing this. They have an intercom system within their ecosystem. They can even make phone calls from the Alexa, but that's regardless, right? I think is an important feature to have, and it's nice to see that Google is adding it. Another one, again, Alexa already has it, but not as important in this conversation, is that they've added the integration with Ecobee. So Amazon made a big investment in Ecobee a while back, and I don't remember exactly how much it was, but so they were obviously already integrated with it, but now Google is integrating with it as well, which is interesting because Google owns Nest, right, who is a competitor of Ecobee. But if you look around, if you Google around the internet, if you look at some of my past videos, I think Ecobee is at this moment in time a better solution in a lot of cases. And if you Google like reviews, you'll see a lot of that same kind of chatter. So that's really interesting for them to be doing that. Although Nest kind of has the name, Ecobee may have some more long-term viability. So it's good to kind of hitch yourself to two horses, right? And whoever wins, you win as well. And I think that's kind of looks like what Google's plan is there. So I mean, that kind of brings that conversation back, right? Is that Google, Alexa, which one is the right one to choose? Then you have Apple come with the Homepod. Then there's like the integration ones out there, like Josh.ai, which is a voice-activated smart home, but it's more proprietary and works in their own little box. It's built on top of Crestron, whereas like Google, Apple, and Alexa are going to more integrate with what's already in the house. So there's definitely a discussion about which one is the right decision if you are building out. Well, so it depends on what the use case is, right? Because this is Super Week of Smart Homes, we're going to talk about the use case in a smart home. I think at the moment that really puts us into the Josh.ai or Alexa boat. I have to be honest, I haven't played around with Josh.ai enough to really make that comparison. From what I've heard, Josh.ai is a little more intelligent in regards to being able to use, take more complex discussions, right? So you could say, turn off the lights, the TV, and bring up the shades, I'm going out, right? So it'll do all three of those things at once. Whereas with Alexa, you'll have to say something like, Alexa, turn on the music, stop. Then Alexa, turn on the lights, stop. Then Alexa, bring down the shades, stop. So not great. I mean, that's just not a fun thing to have to do if you are trying to, set some kind of scene, especially one that's not already set. So they came out with routines, which I talked about on last episode. So there is abilities to do multiple things at once, but they have to be preset. Whereas with Josh.ai, you can kind of say them all at once and make it happen. So just a weighing, right, in that regard. I lean towards Alexa, and it may just be because I'm more experienced with it, but I do look forward to kind of looking into the Josh.ai. Integrators in my community obviously position, they're more Josh.ai guys because they make more money off it, right? We make pretty much nothing on something like Alexa, but from my perspective, I'd rather get the right product, because at the end of the day, that's going to make you come back to me than picking something like a Josh.ai, me make a lot of money off of you badmouthing me on the internet and I get no more business, right? So that's the whole point of this Super Week in Smart Homes. It's not about picking the product that's going to make me the most money. It's about picking the right product and being historically right, and then continue to be able to grow my business on the back of that. So that's kind of how I look at it. And then another thing that Google did is that they're now integrating with the Sony TVs. So it's only their Android version, the Android Sony TVs, but regardless, right? That's really interesting because that has been a place that a lot of these more do-it-yourself smart home technologies have not had the capabilities around is around the audio-video aspect, right? Google obviously has their Chromecast, so that's how they can kind of control some audio. And they have the Chromecast audio, and they have their regular Chromecast for video. But an actual TV, so actually going to say like to turn the TV on, turn the volume up, and things of that nature when it's not on Chromecast, it is interesting that they're enabling this. So I look forward to kind of seeing how that goes. I've heard that Alexa has some things like that, but I'm not 100% on that. So just I think it's a good leap forward for them with what they're doing with Sony. And not only that, Sony is making some good leaps on their own in regards to improving their technology. In that recently they partnered with Xfinity, so that you can now have Xfinity on your Sony Android TVs, so that you don't have to have a set-top box, right? So Xfinity should have done this years ago, right? I mean, they're still going to lose because they didn't do it years ago, because now we have all these people cord cutting and things like that, and my generation has no interest in having to have somebody come install a set-top box. Like, first off, I can install that thing myself. Second off, why do I need a box when I can just put an app on my phone, on my Apple TV, etc.? So I think it's a smart move by Sony and Xfinity. I think it's a late move by Xfinity, but for Sony, huge. So that's really good to see. And then what was the last thing I had here? So I had the Sony TV integration. And then the last thing I want to talk about, again, it's kind of facing off on TVs. Actually, I want to talk about two more things. So the next TV I want to talk about is the Samsung Frame. So big shout out to Ultimate Integration. They're a technology distributor here in I think they're more than just New Jersey, but I'm in New Jersey and we work with them a lot. They had an event at the Samsung. Some Samsung location out in New York, and they showed us the Samsung Frame. So what the Samsung Frame is, essentially is a TV that sits flush on the wall that looks like it's that from a physical standpoint, it's going to look like a picture, right? Because it's flush on the wall. You just put a picture onto the frame. So like they had pictures of like a big picture of an elephant. The frame is outlined with like a wood frame, so it looks like a picture. So that for people who are not as interested in having a TV be the focal point of their room, designers typically hate them. If you're putting it on top of like a mantle, right on top of like a fireplace or something like that, it looks really nice. So I'm really excited about it. We're going to be actually installing one in one of our clients' house whenever they finish this construction. So that's exciting. I'm excited to actually try it out and see how it installs. I mean, I've seen what it looks like because I went to that event, and they have a really good picture as well. So that's awesome. But I think it's a really cool technology, and I'm looking forward to watching how it affects our relationship with designers, but also the market. Are people going to adopt this? Because I'm definitely going to be telling our designers about them. But I also want to see, like, just in the wild, am I going to run into these, right? And I think I will. So, and then the last thing, just kind of going again off of the whole mantle idea is, people put TVs above fireplaces a lot. The thing is, your fireplace wasn't built for TV, right? So a lot of times you'll find that the fireplace is built just too high for the natural viewing stance of a TV. So we recently installed. There's two different ones. I don't remember what the first one's called, but there's another mount called Mantel Mount, and essentially it's made just to be put on over top of a mantle, right? So if you have a fireplace that is too high for viewing, right, because you're looking up like this, eventually your neck's gonna start hurting. This enables you to, excuse me, it pulls off and it has like pistons, so it's very easy to pull up and down. It pulls down it pulls out and then down to viewing position, to optimal viewing position from a couch or chair or something of that nature. They also have like automated ones so that you can connect it in with like your automation system, like a Savant, like a Control4, etc. I personally have not, integrated them yet today, so I'm not, trying to say anything incorrect here. But I know they do exist and they can be integrated, and just looking forward to that, because I find that a lot of mantles are too high, and definitely something that I'm going to be pitching a lot, and definitely something that I'd highly recommend you guys go check out. So that's it for today. As I mentioned, right, we talked about smart communities, Google Home, Sony TVs. I forgot to mention Mantel Mount, and then also the Samsung Frame. So looking forward to your guys' thoughts. As always, Love to chat with you in the comments. If you're looking for real-time conversations, go to our website, digihf.com. A little pop-up will come up. It'll be my face. You can text me right there. It'll come directly to my phone in real time, and I'm always here to respond. So talk to you guys soon, and I look forward to it. Have a good one. Peace.